All right, cousins, let's have a conversation. Vince McMahon. So we just gonna talk about Vincent from the booking perspective, the owner perspective. I'm not going to talk about his indiscretions because at this point, let everybody come on back. We already know what's going on. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So Vince McMahon, I had to say that in case anybody, well, you know, I know. I know. I read the whole deposition. It's available right there for you to listen. All the salacious details. So with that being said, I want to talk about how, how Vince's philosophy in terms of sports entertainment, why he had it right. And because he had it right, and I see now where it makes sense, is why as I watched this wrestling product day by day, I'm beginning to see the methods of his madness. First one, the mat. Vince McMahon wanted to keep that mat clean and pristine only for wrestling because a few things, in my opinion, you can see it. When the mat's white or whatever, off white, they decide to use even a light tint gray, you can see wrestling. You can see the foot positions. You can see the people's bodies. You can see the action. This blue mat and this black mat nonsense is not, no. Keep that for WWE Underground, okay? I don't like that the mats are that color. I think it does wash out some of the wrestlers, especially if they are wearing the exact same color as the mat. I also don't like the product placement. It is going to be this going to be an eyesore seeing Fortnite, Prime, Snickers, Slim Jim, and whatever else they're gonna want to throw up on that mat. Because if you can't run the ad, you think slapping it on everything is gonna make it look good? No, it does not. If that's the case, you should just let the wrestlers sell real estate on their bodies, a la Brock Lesnar, who had Jimmy Johns, which, by the way, was a very big issue for CM Punk back when he was on his rampage. He too wanted to sell real estate on his body and they wouldn't let him. But because Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar, he was allowed to do it, and that upset CM Punk at the time. Another thing, the prices. Vince McMahon's philosophy was to make sure that the core audience was able to enjoy wrestling anytime they wanted and kept it accessible. Because he realized at the time, historically, the base for pro wrestling is basically poor white people. Okay? Trailer park, poor Midwest, deep South. That's where most of this deep South, chitlin circuit type people come from. And they can't afford, his thought process. They're not going to be afford $200-$300 tickets. So let's just keep the cheapest price ticket $20. Yes, you're going to be all the way up in the rafters. You ain't going to be able to see nothing, but at least you'll be able to get the energy and say you went to a wrestling show. Now, in the Paul Leviskay era, it's going to be a luxury to go to a wrestling show. You're not going to be able to afford this shit. And I think the Netflix move kind of sped things up. I spoke about this a couple times. Might have to change my banners just so I could kind of draw you into the conversation on those podcasts. But it's a money grab right now, and these people gonna gut this thing that we love to the point where it's gonna be a hard reset in the next maybe 3, I'll even say 4 years. It's gonna be a hard reset because it's nothing gonna be left. Vince's philosophy on the prices, I agree with. And you can move up. Don't get me wrong. I spent $200 when we went to see Extreme Rules. And that's the one where Finn Balor just fell off the turnbuckle and everybody was like, what the fuck is going on? But we was right up on the stage. Like we were right there. So it was no big deal. And it was a pay-per-view. If Extreme Rules was to take place now, do you think you going to Extreme Rules? Because the cheapest ticket would be like $300. And that's the nosebleeds. The cheapest ticket at that Netflix show in Los Angeles was $600, and that was the nosebleeds, and that's fucking ridiculous. Saudi Arabia. Vince McMahon made this deal, got the money, because again, always about the money, but he did not take those Saudi Arabia shows seriously. They were just one-offs, bullshit, give these people what they want, let's keep it moving. he lightweight read the room, even though the deal was terrible. Now Triple H, wanting to be the Glaze King that he is, wanting to get the adulation and the tickling of his balls, has now made those shows canon. Okay? I don't like that Royal Rumble is going to be in Saudi Arabia. I don't like it. And it's not just because the women are going to have to be fucking covered up. But that's like American institution. Like, that's our stuff. Like, why you could have put all kinds of shit in these international markets. Why you gotta take the big four? And then, the only good thing that's probably gonna happen is we get to watch it at 1:00. But it's going the mystique, the joy and all that, it's just gonna be weird watching that shit when it's supposed to be here in the United States. That's our thing, the Royal Rumble. I don't like that. And I believe if Vince McMahon was still running the show, that wouldn't even been a thing. First of all, picking stars. Vince McMahon had it right. He picked stars with his dick, okay? And nobody could tell me nothing different. Vince picked people that turned him on, that was sexy to look at. That was the first thing. And then, can you bring some type of, can you cut a promo? Can you do this and that? But the first thing was, are you even good looking to look at? It's a reason why there's certain stars he strapped a rocket to when they came up from NXT. And now those same stars are floundering. I ain't gonna see and say no names. It's gonna rile me the fuck up. But y'all know who I'm talking about. And if you don't believe me, go back and go through NXT Black and Gold. So that was like 2016 to about what? I don't know. I know. We'll say about 2020, something like that. Go back and look at the way Triple H was booking NXT. A lot of that shit was unbearable. He was pushing people that nobody was all interested in, and the people he should have been pushing wasn't getting pushed. And when they came to the main roster, they got a rocket pack strapped to them. Risk taker. Vince McMahon's a risk taker in terms of he never let that camera stop rolling. Everybody's not like that, and I get it. Vince was just like, I gotta get this, I gotta win. Specifically, now that I kind of got an idea of his relationship with his dad, so he really wanted his pops to see that he was going to do this, even if everybody was like against him. But he was a risk taker. A lot of that shit that you all enjoy from the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression Era, the, I don't know, whatever era at the time, reality TV era, is because Vince McMahon never turned the camera off. Anything that happened, he made into a storyline. Whether it was a death in the family, whether somebody got cancer, whether somebody's pussy fell out in the toilet, he was going to make it a storyline. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it don't. But he was able to take a risk, which for a lot of times, that's why we get a lot of nostalgia and wanting to go back to those quick, short-term storytelling, because it worked. Short stories. There's nothing wrong with short-term storytelling. This long-form storytelling is proved to be very difficult to ingest. It has nothing to do with people's levels of intelligence. It has nothing to do with people not having time. It has nothing to do with any of that. The point is, if I'm going to watch a movie, you have to keep me captivated. And the stories that are being told are not captivating, not even for a younger audience. Because 8-year-olds, when I was growing up, when I was 8, aren't the same 8-year-olds now. The 8-year-olds today are very advanced. They're watching shows. You have to give them stuff to pay attention to. They watch TV shows too. They're not stupid. Okay? 13-year-olds, when I grew up, when I was 13, are not the 13-year-olds today. So the shit that turned you on, fart humor, old titties, it may still turn on some kids, but a lot of these kids are beyond that, and they want to be stimulated mentally as well. You got us old heads, it's just like, what the fuck is this? And the older I get, the more I want understanding about what I'm watching, so I can get into it too. You want everybody to be invested, especially as old people, because I'm the one with the motherfucking pocketbook. And if I'm not understanding what the fuck is going on, I'm not about to be going to these shows. Especially since you advertising my fave and they not on the show. I don't like that either. So these are just some things that Vince got right. If you made it this far, you tell me some things that Vince got right and Paul Levesque got wrong. And I'll catch you in the next one.